Hey everybody, my name is Paul Esden Jr., aka Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to the Jet Zone, a weekly New York Jets podcast, talking all things New York Jets, and football is back, baby. Yes, the rookies reported to training camp this week. We're going to have all the veterans reporting by next Tuesday, and before you know it, practice gets underway. We've got the preseason, the green and white scrimmage. So much to get to on today's show, including some injury news already for the Jets. Not great. We'll dive into that. Some saucy, sexy, splashy rumors about the Jets making a big move before 2022. Just when you think it's all over in late July, there is still meat on the bone to be had. We'll talk about that. And I didn't know I was posting both of these today, but if you've been paying attention to the YouTube channel, which, by the way, is a healthy reminder to right now, like the video, hit subscribe down below, even if you're watching right now, because we're also streaming live on our Facebook page, The Jet Zone, on our Twitter page, The Jets_Zone, and on YouTube, that you should open up an extra tab and hop over to YouTube and show your support, because we just had Mike K, lead Pro Football Network reporter, here on the show. We have the breaking news of Craig James becoming a member of the New York Jets. That interview, if you'd like to see it later, because we're live right now, but you can see that interview with Mike K. We started to set up for training camp. We talked about the Jesse Bates trade rumors. We'll get into all that, but that is also up on the channel, so check it out. I was going to save that for next week because I'm going on a mini vacation. We're still going to be doing all the fun stuff we are, but while I'm at the home office, I want to record a couple of videos to have ready just to be super stocked for training camp. Again, bad timing on my part, scheduling this trip to go see my parents in Mississippi, but nonetheless, here we are with all that fun jazz. So we have a double dip of videos here on a Wednesday. Again, this is the Jet Zone, a weekly New York Jets podcast. Also, it will be later uploaded to wherever you listen to your audio. The audio version of this podcast has been available for the last decade or so. So that continues to be, if you like listening to in the car or wherever might have you. You guys can also listen via that version as well. No matter where you're watching, feel free to get involved in our comment section. On Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Twitter, you have to jump to one of the other social media spheres for your comments to be available here in StreamYard. So make sure you guys do so. This is an interactive program, an interactive show, and we'll get to all your questions and comments as well here on the program. So, guys, feel free to get involved from that perspective. There's a lot to get to on the show. So, without further ado, let's dive right in. And like I said, you could check out that Mike K interview as well. Hello to Nick Russo, who's joining us on YouTube. What's up, buddy? And again, great stuff coming up here on the channel as well. Let's get into the splashy thing from this morning. Jeremy Fowler, NFL insider for ESPN, shared a very interesting nugget. Now, the overall article, you'd say, like, kind of pass the biscuits, whatever. It's a July article in terms of ESPN putting out a power rankings looking ahead several years. And the Jets were like at 2021. It doesn't matter. They were just kind of floating somewhere in no man's land. But I still read through the piece, and I got to the final nugget from Jeremy Fowler, and he said the Jets are still looking at this point in late July ahead of camp to make a splash. They're trying to make something happen and make a move, a big move. And he specifically said a splash move, and he said a splash move in the secondary. Now, let's break that down real quick because I wanted to talk about this. So a splash move to me is signing someone significant, trading for someone significant, something of that nature. That is a quote-unquote splash move. To me, a splash move is not signing some scrub, relatively speaking, off the bench, and he's just going to be like a depth piece. Like, no. That's not what we're talking about here. A splash move is actually getting something of actual value here. That is the key. So that's something that, is significant. So when he says secondary and you start looking through some of these quote unquote, again, splash move in the secondary, where could it be? Let's talk about the secondary for a second. You have Ahmad Gardner, number 4 overall pick. He's starting at corner. You have DJ Reed, who you gave $33 million to. He's starting at corner. Michael Carter II, the Jets coaching staff absolutely loves. He's starting at corner. Then you go to safety, you have Jordan Whitehead. He's starting. So the only possible quote-unquote splash move would have to be at the opposite safety starter across from Jordan Whitehead. So with that being the case, and then scouring the landscape, so I see this report from Jeremy Fowler. I cover it for Heavy on Jets. Again, feel free to go on Heavy on Jets and read the article yourself. It's also on my Twitter account, @BoyGreen25. So I covered the report that Jeremy said, and he didn't mention any names, but it doesn't take much to speculate on playmaking guy, secondary splash, and the guy that's being discussed right now is, of course, Jesse Bates, a 25-year-old safety for the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, he is really good. He's on his franchise tag. And the problem is, as Josina Anderson has reported, he doesn't want to play on the tag, and also he doesn't want to report to training camp for the Bengals. He's pissed at the Bengals. Okay, well, here's the problem. He has to play on the tag. If he wants to play football, he's got to play on the tag. He's got no other choice because the franchise tag extension deadline has passed. So the Bengals or any team that potentially trades for Jesse Bates can't extend him. He just has to play on the deal that is on the table, and he has no other choice. So maybe he won't play on it for the Bengals, but another team that would be to trade for him, okay, he will do it. And then a wink, wink, promise, promise, we'll take care of you next year. Perhaps that's where it goes. But regardless here, when I initially heard the Jesse Bates, so Jesse Bates is unhappy, right? So that comes out on social media. Jet fans go crazy. They go, oh boy, Jesse Bates to the Jets, baby. And I saw it, and we covered it on Heavy on Jets, but to me, I thought it was kind of a pipe dream. Like, come on, the Jets, the safety position, while I would love to see them improve it, certainly across from Whitehead, but I'm like, come on, this is a pipe dream. No way this is happening. And then I saw the Jeremy Fowler report of they're still looking to make a splash. And I'm like, well, maybe there is some credence here. Maybe there is something happening and they would make that splash move. And I got to tell you that while that makes sense, so again, Jeremy Fowler didn't name drop Jesse Bates, but it's very easy to connect the dots. To me, it makes absolutely no sense. Joe Douglas told us how he feels about the safety position. He traded away Jamal Adams, said, no, thanks. I'm not going to pay this guy. And guess what? In free agency, with Marcus Williams, okay, the only thing preventing Marcus Williams from being a member of the Jets was the paycheck. They didn't have to trade an asset or anything. All they had to do was pay up. And guess what? They said, we don't want to. Honey Badger's out there. He's a playmaking safety. We don't want to. And all of a sudden, the Jets are going to turn around and trade an asset or two and eventually pay the guy. That doesn't seem to be the Joe Douglas MO. While it would be exciting, it's splashy, it's sexy. When you look at the secondary of potentially dreaming, close your eyes for me. You got Jesse Bates, a guy who's had 10 picks, couple of forced fumbles, 35-something pass deflection. He's a playmaking safety in every sense of the word. So you got Jesse Bates, Jordan Whitehead, Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, Michael Carter. That has a chance to be one of the best secondaries in the NFL. Now, however, I can't dream that impossible. I mean, we could dream a little. We could dabble. I could answer your questions on it, but it just doesn't seem to make any sense from the Joe Douglas perspective unless Jesse Bates just came on an insane value. Right now, I probably think the price point for a Jesse Bates acquisition is like a second or third rounder. And if you guys think that's enough plus whatever could happen, then maybe we can talk about it. But the thing that kind of concerns me is Jesse Bates and the potential of the locker room getting messed up. You want to bring in the right guys in the locker room. Now, I'm not calling out Jesse Bates here. I'm just simply, playing devil's advocate for this saucy trade thing. We'll get into all your comments. I see they're pouring in. That's awesome. Wherever you watch, again, like the video, hit subscribe down below on the old YouTube channel. Also get involved on today's show. I'll bring all your comments in. You can also super chat and cut to the front of the line. Give it a little monetary tip in my tin cup to help support the channel. So feel free to choose to do that if you're watching live on YouTube. But I have to be honest with you guys that when you look at this potential of a Jesse Bates situation, it just seems hard to believe in a lot of respects. Again, it would make sense. He would perfectly complement Jordan Whitehead on the back end of that defense. But giving up an asset, again, unless it was a second or third round draft choice, you got to pay the guy. You can't pay him immediately, so you'd have to pay him next year. So the leverage, Jesse Bates has no leverage right now to have a complete full leverage, knowing that you traded whatever assets you did for him and you have to pay him. And he says, blank check me, making the highest paid safety in the league. I don't know what he's going to do. And what if he rocks the locker room? Right now, he doesn't want to play for the Bengals. He doesn't want to report for camp, and he doesn't want to play for him right now on the tag. He has to play on the tag if he wants to play football. What if he's playing for the Jets and all of a sudden he throws a tantrum and you have a potential to kind of put a poisonous apple in the locker room and it rots away all the great stuff you did this offseason? So I'm just saying that it could work out great, but it also could work out bad. So it really depends on the situation. We got a million comments in here. Let's welcome people in. Raw Power, because of your previous video, I just booked a trip to North Conway in August. Thanks for the suggestion. North Conway is beautiful. I can recommend food places for you, Raw Power. It is a beautiful spot. It allows you to get away. For us personally, we stayed at a cabin for a little while before ultimately my parents bought a house out there, bought some property. Before we just used to dabble, we'd go up there for a week and enjoy it. But whether you rent or whether you buy a place, depending on where you get it, you can have your privacy, like up in the woods, and do whatever you want with cornhole, hang out, whatever, enjoy nature. And then when you want to dabble in the city, it is very touristy. You can see there's food places, there's Zeb's and other cool like one-stop shops that gives you the souvenir experience. There's nice foods. One of the great food places I used to go to. Ownership just changed, so hopefully the food's still the same. But Via Roma, bon appetit. Calzones, oh god, they got great food. I'm not a falafel guy, but you could go in that direction. They got gyros and that kind of thing, but the calzones are to die for. They got the Godfather sub. Oh my, that is a meat overload. Anywho, I got to tell you though that North Conway is a beautiful place for anyone who's visiting. I don't get any royalty checks for sending people there, but I go there to visit my parents. And by the way, beautiful. Nick Russo, not much nice to catch you live. I'm assuming it is nice to eventually catch me live. Yeah, today's episode was a little late. We had a little bit of all kinds of personal things that you guys don't care about, but we're writing articles, doing all kinds of things. Normally, we record the Jet Zone in the middle of the day. That's when most of you, I assume, are working. So I'm glad that we're getting a lot of new people live here on the show. Tyreek Robinson on YouTube. Go Jets, man. I really don't want. But, man, they did make a great point. As their defense was bad last year, Saleh came here for defense. Man, I love Bates. Yeah, I would say this about the Saleh defense thing. Because, like, it's easy to pair Robert Saleh because he's a defensive guru to the Jets. He did not call the defense. That was Jeff Ulbrich. Now, I'm not trying to completely waive Saleh because, again, if you're the defensive guy and you see that the ship is going down, then it is your job as a head coach to say, hey, I got to step in here and save this thing. And I believe that is the key. He did not step in at any point last year and call plays. That was all up to Jeff Ulbrich. But if this year starts to suck and go wayward, Saleh has no choice to either fire his guy or minimize his role and say, okay, I got to start calling defense because we need to fix this thing. So that is the case there. Again, Bates would be interesting, aggressive, sexy. It'd be fun to talk about it on the show. But I just don't know if that's a move. I'm okay if that your biggest weakness is probably LaMarcus Joyner, who's the penciled in starter right now. I'm fine because the rest of the secondary is so improved. You got to hope that picks it up. But Tyreek Robinson, welcome to the show, my brother. Appreciate it. Great love. Appreciate it, Tyreek. Raw Power. I don't see where a splash move comes from right now. Again, that's the only one I can think of. Raw is Jesse Bates. I looked at all the free agents that are available, and to be kind, I mean, they are trash. There's absolute nothing out there at the safety position. It's a lot of scrubs. And then you don't have the draft, obviously. So the only other thing would be trade or hopefully at some point waiver wire, stuff like that. But to me, that's not a splash. Like a tadpole splash, maybe. But that's not like a splash. When you say splash to me, that's a zing word. That's like a whoa. That's a blockbuster move. And I don't see that right now. Steven Angle, he's good. Not great on Bates. Yeah, I think he's really talented. Probably top 10 safety, I'd imagine, in football. I don't have the ratings in front of me of who, where, what, but I know his stats off the top of my head because I just did a piece on him earlier today, a half piece, basically implying that it must be Jesse Bates. He's talking about 10 picks, 2 forced fumbles, 30-ish pass deflections. He's really, really talented, but he's not like Ed Reed, and I don't want anyone to get that kind of perception on him. Back to Nick Russo on YouTube. We don't need a splash move in the secondary. It would be a luxury. We need more help at linebacker or offensive tackle splash. Orlando Brown would have been a good splash, sure. But again, then you have the same thing. Like Orlando Brown wants to be a left tackle. And also, in his case, with Jesse Bates, you can't extend him now anymore. So he's playing either on the tag or not. But that's it for me. Right. That's also it. It would be a luxury to do something crazy at the other safety spot. I think you could survive there. The bigger thing to me is offensive tackle. You need to protect the gosh darn fort. It would probably be, if those are the 3 positions, it's offensive tackle, linebacker, safety. Probably for me. Because if an injury happens at linebacker, oh my, all hell breaks loose. Back down the hatches. Okay? Offensive tackle, same thing. It is super important. But safety is probably, again, one of those where, you could survive what you got. Steven Angle on YouTube, not giving up draft picks for him. Well, that's what's going to be. I mean, there's no way you're giving up like a whatever, Breece Hall or something. Like, you're going to have to give up picks if you're landing Bates. Maybe there's a way you could do kind of player and pick, but again, it would just be an overly aggressive strategy at a position that you're okay. You love Jordan Whitehead. I think he's going to be a stud. And Madden, some more disrespect there. He's like the 17th rated safety or 29th or something. I don't even know on Madden. Like, come on, man. I think Whitehead's going to be good. People sleeping on Whitehead. Raw Power. No way we waste picks on Bates. Why aren't the Bengals paying him? Red flag. Well, for me, I think a couple of things here. First off, obviously the Bengals don't value him in the same way that Bates values himself. Apparently, according to it, they only offered him like $16 million in guarantees or something. It was only a piece of the contract that came out, but long story short, they didn't favor him in the top 5, top whatever safeties in all football, so they refused to pay him. And Bengals have a history of digging their heels in. Look at the Carson Palmer situation from a bunch of years ago. So that's kind of concerning. And yeah, again, it just seems like there's something going on there that perhaps we don't know. So again, I wouldn't waste picks. If it was the right situation, maybe. But again, I just don't know why the Bengals would just give up on him unless they just completely believe he'll never play for him again. Sean McAteer on YouTube. We get J.C. Bates, our secondary should be top 3, if not the best. That would make our linebacking core look great. I doubt it happens, though. I agree with that piece because think about it like a great sandwich, okay? The key is, of course, you've got the bread, you got the meat, some sort of salad, and then more bread, okay? The meat, of course, is a key piece, and that's what you could call the linebacking core. It's a meaty piece. But you need a good sandwich, a good foundation around it. Great defensive line play should certainly help the linebackers. Great secondary should help them as well. If I'm a linebacker for the Jets, and I know I got a great secondary back there, I know I can be more aggressive, and the secondary is going to cover my cheeks. So if I do something crazy, like I try to jump around, I'm like, wow, it's aggressive, and I could get a pick here. I could also look like an idiot if it's kind of a pump and go action. I know my secondary's got my back. If you think your secondary sucks, right? You can't be as aggressive as a linebacker. You're kind of like, oh, man, I got to cover 3 spots here. I got to cover for the defensive line. I got to cover for my job. Oh, man, I got to cover for the secondary because they're trash, man. So, there is a little bit of that, and those things should help elevate it to some sense. But I agree with you, Sean. I do not see that happening. Old Dave Etchenberry on old YouTube. Bates value his position more than the Jets do. No chance it comes to farm. Yeah, that's the thing. The Jets just traded Jamal Adams. They just let Marcus May go. Why would they all of a sudden say, okay, we're not paying those guys, but we will trade and then pay for this guy? Again, that sentiment right from the get-go doesn't seem to make any sense. It doesn't. But it is sexy to talk about in July, though. Tyreek Robinson, I understand, but man, if Robert Sala don't get that defense right, man, we don't keep coaches no more than 3 years. Yeah, the leash is very short in the NFL on these head coaches, man. So that's what I'm saying. That again, if things are going south, he has no choice, but he's got to step up to the plate. He can't be all lackadaisical and say, hey, man, the defense sucked because Jeff Ulbrich was calling it. Well, you're the head coach. You're the CEO. You're responsible for the whole shit, man. If things are going wrong, you need to fix ASAP. So good point, Tyreek. Defense wins championships. Division is stacked, man. We need smart moves and improve to help Zach, man, which we did. A lot of pieces, offensive line, running game, wide receiver, tight end, coaching staff, some continuity there. The Jets have the most, what's the word? I was going to use like continuitous, but that's a made-up word. But they have the most continuity inside the division in terms of the coaching staff than any team in the AFC East. That should help. That could be a secret sauce of sorts. Nice lid today, Boy Green. Thank you. It is the brand new official 2022 Jets training camp hat. Excuse me. I also got this one. That's the old bucket hat. Yeah, there you go. Let's get that on screen for the people watching at home. People on audio will not see it. It's a Jets bucket hat, same design, okay? I've never owned a bucket hat in my life, but I got to be honest, it's great. Unfortunately for the podcast, I wear headphones, and the headphones can't fit over the bucket hat, so a bit of an issue there, but we will get plenty of wear and tear on that here in the summer. It was like 95 degrees today here locally in New York, so not ideal. So the bucket hat would have come in handy. I should have wore that today, to be blunt. But yes, Jets 2022 training camp, the nice camouflage. I like it. I'm not a massive camouflage guy, even though I do come from the South, right? I spent a lot of time in South Carolina, Georgia, and that area, St. Mary's, Goose Creek, Somerville. So I am a South guy, but I'm not like a South redneck guy. Like I don't have a lot of camo gear. I don't have any camo gear. So I have this very specific camo gear, military grade camo gear, that kind of stuff. Not like camo, I'm hunting deers camo. So I don't have any of that, but appreciate the shout out. I love the hat. It's great. I can't recommend that enough. Let's go to Jay Spector. JD will not derail his plans for Bates. If you're going to derail him, I don't think Bates is a guy to derail them for, quite frankly, Jay. I think you hit the nail on the head there. Let's see. Modine on YouTube. Bates coming to New York. Woohoo. Hey, man, if that happens, we will be here to talk about it. That's for sure. He's a very talented player. Back to Jay Spector on YouTube. My concern is more with DT than DNs. Need a Snacks Harrison type run stuff. Hey, we can convince that guy to come out of retirement. Sign me up. Right now, the answer is Jonathan Marshall, Sheldon Rankins. Again, you hear how I'm saying that? I don't feel great, to be honest. Jonathan Marshall, Mr. Irrelevant from a few years ago for the Jets anyway, in the 6th round, their last pick a couple of years ago. I like. But, man, that's a big leap to just say, hey, he went in the 6th round. Foley Fatukasi went in the 6th round. Same guy. I hope so, but I don't think so. A lot to be figured out there. Again, I think it's some greater than the parts kind of thing. The rest of defense improved talent-wise. Perhaps that can cover the run defense, but that feels like more like a stretch for me personally. Tyreek Rabbit's on YouTube. We definitely didn't see him taking Sauce at 4, surprising, but it does go against the solid JD Ward. That's for sure. I love Sauce. But okay, I will say this. I've mentioned this before. If you're new to the channel, you'll find this out eventually. If you're old to the channel, you know, I am a draft freak. My birthday is April 26th. I was born in 1993. So my birthday and the draft have been like synonymous my entire life. To celebrate my birthday throughout my entire life, I've done stuff for the draft. Like, oh man, leave me alone so I can watch the draft. Like, I love the draft. Obviously, I love it for the Jet side of it, but I'm an NFL fan in general, so I love the draft. Sauce Gardner is a player I was in love with. I love Sauce. There is the personality, the swag, the statistics, the analytics, the lankiness, the athleticism. All of that was cool. But there was a point where I went, he's never coming to the Jets. There's no way, because I believed, and I have yet to get a guy on this on the show, so we'll have somebody from the 49ers representation. Maybe we'll bring back Stefania Bell from ESPN. Maybe we'll bring on Matt Miller, who has 49ers background. I want to bring on Eric Crocker, the former Jets DB, and does work for the 49ers out there. I want to bring on some 49ers person, and it'll be coming soon. I got a lot of contacts on my phone that I could go to come on to ask about the quote-unquote myths. The 49ers never take a corner high. They never take a running back high. And then look what the Jets did. They drafted Breece Hall in the 2nd round, which is like, whoa, people didn't see that coming. And then they took, as you said, Sauce Gardner, the highest drafted defender by Joe Douglas in his entire era as the general manager. So those were two, whoa. So again, I love Sauce as a player, but I just never thought it would happen. I'm like, there's no way the Jets are drafting this guy. I love him, but they're not going to do it. So, you know, there was this kind of a line of separation where my hand was kind of out on them saying, you know, it would be cool, but it's never happening. So I won't let myself get hurt and my hopes up of, ooh, can't wait for Sauce, and he never comes. But he did. So that certainly did surprise me. I did not see that coming, Tyreek. That was a complete surprise. Stephen Angle here. Sauer doesn't give a shit about the offense. You could see his demeanor in the draft room. When offensive players were picked, he was nowhere near as happy as when the defensive guys were picked. Stephen, I don't know if I feel true about that. Because the first year of Saleh, they didn't take a defensive guy till, let me think for a second. What was that? So let's see if I can remember correctly. So you had Zach Wilson, number 2, Elijah Vera Tucker, 14, Elijah Moore, 36. They used the 2 third-rounders to move up. 4th round? No, 4th round was Michael Carter. 5th round? Yeah, it had to be. Jamie Sherwood, I think, was the first defensive pick that draft. And then this one, obviously, you get it at 4. I don't believe that. Again, it's not like Saleh is Adam Gase. I will push back on that, Stephen. Adam Gase was, hey, I'm offense, Greg Williams defense. We're both kind of head coaches of our own unit. Saleh is an overall guy. So I disagree on that. If you saw that, if that was your take, again, everyone can have their own opinions. But to me, I didn't see that. Sure, he had the sauce, but he was as excited when he said G-Dub, like Garrett Wilson. Like, I thought he was excited for them all. So I can't concur with that, I'm afraid. We just made a move. That is true. Craig James, again, why don't we do this? So I'll play the clip. Let me pull it up. I had it on my Twitter account. You guys can watch the full video, but here's a tease, okay? We're going to play this clip here on the show. The one and only Mike K of the Pro Football Network. This is a 2-minute clip, so sorry for the length, but I think you guys will enjoy it. Mike K of the Pro Football Network joined me on my channel. You guys can check it out on youtube.com. And during our live recording, again, I plan on dropping this interview with Mike K next week because, again, I'm going on vacation next week to visit my family down in Mississippi. It just kind of worked out that way so they could see the baby and everything. So I was trying to record interviews now for Jets training camp. So we're full-fledged because, I don't know what the Wi-Fi situation is going to be in Jackson, Mississippi. So I'm just trying to cover our cheeks so we don't just go off the face of the earth as things are popping for the Jets. So I just wanted to be extra prepared. However, during our show, our little interview, Mike K goes, wow, breaking news. The Jets just signed Craig James. And I'm like, son of a... All right, and Mike K actually covered the Eagles before doing the national beat. So I said, okay, Mike, give us the full story here on Craig James. And since it was breaking news, I'm like, screw it, fine, we'll just post the interview today. So you guys are getting double dip of interviews. So I will play the clip for you guys. It's about 2 minutes in length, but it's well worth it. Here is Mike K talking about the new addition for the Jets, Craig James, who just joined us. So here's a highlight of this. Again, you can check out the full interview on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/BoyGreen25. Here is Mike A.
Like a person standpoint.
Sure,
okay? So
yeah.
Craig's a guy who played at Minnesota, and he transferred to Southern Illinois because his mom had a cancer scare.
Wow.
Just wanted to be around her. He said, this is what I need to do. Played really well at Southern Illinois, played close to home. I mean, he's from Illinois, so it was important to be closer to home. I've spoken to his college coach who raved about him. Really, really good guy. So anyway, what you care about is the football, though. So what I would say is this. He is a guy who can be a special teams demon. He's a very good gunner. He was a special teams captain, actually, for the 2020 season before he got injured.
Oh, wow.
So he started off as a member of the Vikings, played some special teams there, got waived, eventually landed with the Eagles in 2019. He was a guy that was kind of facing an uphill battle. They signed 3 undrafted corners this year, as well as brought in James Bradbury, the former Pro Bowl cornerback from the Giants. It just seemed like he wasn't on the coach's favorite list. It was going to be a massive uphill battle to win that job. He gets waived right ahead of training camp, ends up with the Jets where he's going to get opportunities. This is a lot like the Nate Herbig signing, in my opinion, where he's a guy who can kind of fit in, play a few different roles. He can play nickel. He can play outside. He did get some starting experience with Philadelphia. Obviously, it's been a while since he really played. But I think he's a guy that if you really, try to get the best out of him, he'll show up. So, again, good guy off the field. He's going to be good in the locker room if those locker rooms are open. But yeah, really good special teams player. That's the way I would look at it. He's probably going to be your 4th or 5th corner if he makes the team.
And there he is again, Mike K, the lead NFL reporter for the Pro Football Network, joining me on my channel again right before we did this live Jet Zone. Again, it just kind of worked out that way with the breaking news. So there is more. I don't want to speak out of turn. I mean, Mike K, again, covered the Eagles. He was there for our boy Craig here and to give us some insight there. So again, that's his full take. Here's the long and short of it. Craig is a special teams demon, as he said, a former special teams captain. And he's got to be your 4th or 5th corner. Sound familiar? Justin Hardy versus old Craig here is the new training camp battle to watch out for. They are eerily similar players, and Craig is going to be making a lot less money. So Justin Hardy's Tookus is now on the line, and I love the kid. I love the leadership. I love the videos of him breaking down the team. He's a great guy, but this is a money business. I think it was Albert Breer just shared it. The Jets are the 10th most tightest in terms of NFL cap space. Not that they need all kinds of money, but it's good to have the wiggle room during the season. That will be a move to watch out for where the Jets coaching staff and everyone looks at each other and says, Justin Hardy or Craig, and they're going to have to make that decision. I think Justin Hardy's got $2.5 million or something, and then Craig's probably in the veteran minimum, if I had to guess. I haven't seen the contractual numbers yet. So, again, it could be one of those tough conversations to come. But, again, check out the full interview with Mike K. We talked about that and Jesse Bates and everything else. Again, that is up on the YouTube channel. So, yes, a special teams guy, former captain, good guy, good person. That helps. Obviously, those are the kind of guys that Joe Douglas and them look for and should help as well. Sean, like the sandwich analogy. I'm not quite as good at analogies as Connor Rogers. I haven't texted him about this, but he's been an analogy wizard lately on all his shows. But thank you. I try. Let's see. Steven Engel, special teamer, Jets gang. Absolutely, he is. Before we go any further, I do want to get to one more bit. You guys have great questions in here, and I want to get to all those. But there is one more I want to get into for the news bit. In case you guys missed this yesterday, the Jets placed tight end Jeremy Ruckert on the NFI list. Now, a lot of you may have no idea what that means, so I'm just going to explain to you what that means. The NFI list is the non-football injury list. This is a specific roster designation that is set aside for players who are unable to practice due to conditions either unrelated to football or injuries that pre-exist. They didn't happen during an NFL game or practice. And that certainly falls in line for Jeremy Ruckert, who his injury is a foot injury from the Senior Bowl back in January, which again can raise your own levels of concern with how long he's been battling this. But from what I've heard, it's plantar fasciitis. That's the thing that Jeremy Ruckert is battling here. And depending on the grade of plantar fasciitis, a complete tear, a nick, a whatever, which I don't have those medical information in front of me, Jeremy Ruckert can be on this list throughout all of training camp, part of training camp, none of training camp. We will see ultimately how long they're going to keep him on this, but that is from the lingering foot issue. Now, Joe Douglas after the draft, and this is why you should feel good about this, not just bad. There's a couple reasons to feel good, and I'll explain that to you guys. But one reason to feel good is Joe Douglas after the draft said that when pads come on, Jeremy Ruckert will be ready to go. That's his expectation. And pads will be coming on here in the next couple coming weeks. So training camp begins in full earnest next week, and I don't have the padded practice in front of me, but it's normally a week or so after that, after they get acclimated, conditioning, all that jazz. So it's coming around the corner, and we will see if Joe Douglas is right. The other reason to feel good about this is that the Jets have had a full eval. Jeremy Ruckert is not some rando off the island. They were able to study him and see him medically and everything else at the Senior Bowl, They had him in their own facility. So they know Jeremy Ruckert as well as anyone can know Jeremy Ruckert. The other reason to feel good, the Jets have depth. I know, pinch yourself. Jets, depth, tight end, it's never happened in the history of this franchise, for Pete's sake. But they got it. Tyler Conklin. They got CJ Uzama. They've got, we just mentioned Ruckert, but you got Lawrence Cager, Kenny Yeboah. So many guys. You got a glut of guys that could be in the mix. That's great news. Ruckert, again, he's not a guy who was expected to contribute immediately as an immediate impact guy. He could if maybe they use him in kind of an H-back, fullback role. He's a nasty blocker, so maybe he takes the roster spot away from Nick Bodden, perhaps. I don't know what's going to happen. It depends if he's healthy as well and if he's even capable of doing such things at the NFL level. But the reason to feel good is, again, the Jets know his medicals very intimately. The Jets have depth at tight end, and, again, they have time. They don't need to rush this along at all. So I wanted to get that info in before we go any further. That's a bit of news this week. Jay Spector, this is a make or break for Quinnen Williams. He needs to step it up big time. If he wants big money, he sure does. To me, it's quite simple. Quinnen Williams has been a good player. He's not lived up to the hype of the number 3 overall pick, but guess what? He didn't get to pick where he was drafted. He's a good player, not a great player. That could change this year. And if I was a betting man, I'd throw money down on Quinnen Williams being great, because if it's going to happen any year, it's this year. Second year of this coaching staff. Unbelievable talent around him. Again, there's so many, and he's motivated by the contract. There are so many reasons to buy in on Quinnen Williams. And again, if I was a betting man, I'd be throwing the money down on him. That's just me. Jets gang on YouTube. Craig James is a Jet. I don't know what position he's going to play. Corner and special teams is what he's going to have. So you can't have enough special teams players. And again, I believe he's going to be battling out with Justin Hardy. You'll have more on that on a column coming out on Thursday, July 21st. So keep an eye out for Heavy on Jets. I'll have that article out. He should be battling it out now with Justin Hardy. That is a new training camp battle to watch out for. Okay, let's see here. Let's go to Sean McAteer on YouTube. If our edges perform this year, plan on Quinnen Williams and JFM if he slides inside direct people. 100%. I think JFM is one of the most slept-on players in the league, which is crazy because he got paid $55 million. This guy's only 25. The age surprised me. I forgot how young JFM actually is, and had 6 sacks last year. That was tied for the team lead with Quinnen Williams. I think this dude with the inside-outside versatility, this guy can make some plays, and I fully expect him to make plays. With that coming in. So, again, that is true, and Quinnen Williams in particular. Jay Spector. Jets need a top-end DB to compete in AFC. Diggs, Waddle, Hill. Jets will be playing a lot of nickel this year. And they normally play a lot of nickel anyway, so you're not going to quite have the 3 linebackers on the field as often, so it'll be more so C.J. Mosley and Quincy Williams, Quinnen's older brother. So there will just be more members of the secondary on the field, which, by the way, for the new and improved secondary, that's actually good news this year. So that's good. Let's see here. Keep it going. And John Galassi, love this podcast. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate this podcast. It's been going on for a decade, believe it or not. So new names and old names alike. It's always great. So thank you so much for the support there. David Etcheberry, how's the baby doing? Well, funny story. We had, the baby's been great. She turned 6 months before we'll do this podcast again next week, which is the 25th. She turned 6 months. She'll be 6 months on this planet, which is pretty crazy. She's been amazing. She's a loving baby. She barely ever cries. I mean, if all babies come out like this, then it is just phenomenal. Zariah Luna Serenity is godsend. We had a little scare today, which always gets you. You're always like, oh boy. And it was nothing, which is great. She's been fantastic. So the baby's doing great, and I love when you guys ask about her. This is a family. That's how I look at this podcast. It's a family affair with the fans and everybody. You guys are just like family to me, so I absolutely love it. So thank you so much for your kind words in that regard. And yes, she is doing phenomenal, which is great. So thank you so much for asking there. And last one here that I have on the docket. Of course, any other questions are welcome here before we sign off today. The Jets were able to sign Breece Hall, running back. And again, in the new CBA world, it's very hard for holdouts to persist. Somehow that has still affected the Jets with Zach Wilson and others over the years, unfortunately, with some other holdouts in this new CBA world. But normally speaking, there are no holdouts here, and that's great news, and there will not be any of that drama. I thought it was going to happen. I tweeted it out, and it does happen with the rookies reporting on Tuesday. Breece Hall signed his contract. He's good to go. He's locked in, a favorite for Offensive Rookie of the Year. If he was to win it, he'd be the first Jets offensive rookie to ever win the Offensive Rookie of the Year award. He can run the ball. He can catch the ball in the backfield. I'm so excited for what he's going to bring to the table. He will be the straw that stirs the drink, and for any fantasy football players out there, which, by the way, I got a couple of fantasy football magazines on the desk. I finally dove in on that action. Okay. Yeah, we got let's look. Let's see. Got a couple of these. I'll tell the story. I told it on the radio. So we got a couple of fantasy magazines. Who do we got here? I don't even know who we got. Pro Forecast and Athlon Sports. I got another one actually in the living room, which is great, by the way. But I am a massive fantasy football guy, for those who don't know. By the way, if any of you, this is one thing, feel free to tweet at me or reach out to me in some way, okay? Jet fantasy football team names. What I do every year for my fantasy football leagues, I do a lot of them through my radio show with my listeners. So I got like 3 of those with trophies and all kinds of fun stuff. If you guys have a great Jets fantasy football team name, what do you have? Over the years, I've had a team has no nameth. Hey, Darnold. That was a good one. Winters is coming. I'm trying to think of Zach to the Future, I think was last year. So I pick one, whatever it is, normally something topical on the current team, although every once in a while, like a team has no name, I'll dabble with history. But I pick one really good name. I come up with a custom T-shirt and slap it on. And for the fantasy draft that we do live at a pub. And by the way, if none of you have done a live fantasy football draft at a bar, do it. It is such an the computer's fine, convenient. You have a beer and you're doing whatever in your living room, scratching the lint out of your belly button. It's fine and convenient. But doing it live where someone makes a pick and you hear immediate reactions like, boo, what a horrible pick, or wow, that sucks, or whatever. It's great to get the immediate reactions, which is really cool. And it's a fun, festive atmosphere. So I do it every year. However, there's a lot of potential. You could go with something with the sauce, maybe. The Zach Wilson mom thing is out there. So the live draft experience is insane. For those who haven't tried it, it took me a long time until I started doing the radio and I kind of pitched it to my radio team. Like, guys, I think I could get a live draft board, get some fans. Like, we could do a whole thing. We do it at the Home Team Pub, which, by the way, for anyone local, Route 57 in Liverpool, Home Team Pub, baby, for my Central New Yorkers who listen and watch the show. Shout out to the sponsors on my radio show. And they're great. And they've been hosting our live draft for many years. They're fantastic. And it's a surreal experience. But I'm looking for a Jets fantasy team name this year. I try to go original, but I will take fan suggestions if it's a really good one. And then I use that name for all my leagues. I get a t-shirt, do a whole thing. So again, Zach Wilson mom thing, Sauce, one of the rookies perhaps. So I'm looking around. I'm looking around to see if there's a name. So if you guys got a good one, let me know. Sean McAteer, congrats on a little one. I have 2 little girls of my own. Kids are the best. 100%. And I will say this, I've said this before. When a child, basically when my fiance and me decided we're going to have kids, and it was something I had always wanted to do. But once she made the decision, I'm like, I got to have a boy, and then we're going to throw the football in the yard. I'm going to bring him through football practice. I'm a football freak. This is going to be great. And my son, if he ever comes, if I have a second child, will be PE3, Paul as in the third. I will continue my legacy, continue my name, my family's name through my son, which would be terrific. But I was begging for a son, like, come on, sweet Lord, the gods above, give me a son. I did not get a son. Spoiler alert. You can also see all the kind of history of it. It's pinned to the top of my Twitter account with the video of me announcing that I was going to have a baby and all that, which was fun to record and do. But I had a daughter. I found out the gender reveal party, boop, they blow the thing, it's pink, and I'm just like, I have a stunned face. I have the pictures and videos somewhere, but boom, I'm hashtag girl dad, right? And I was just stunned because I'm like, because I wanted a son. So I'm like, oh man, how's it going to be? But to just have a healthy baby is unbelievable. And, she stole my heart the moment that she came out of the womb. And so Zariah has me wrapped around her finger. That's the other thing I was worried about, because what if, if a boy comes up to me, not to be all gender biased here, but if a boy comes up to me, right, I'm watching the game, my son comes up, hey, Dad, can I have $5? I'm like, screw off, kid. No, I'm doing something over here. And then, like, if a girl comes up, hey, Dad, can I have something? I'm like, no, I'm doing something. They're like, please, Dad. And they do, like, the puppy eyes stuff. I'm like, boy, fine. Here's my credit card. Like, I feel like that's a bad way. I can't survive that way. So that's a little thing that I'm worried about, to be blunt, to be quite frank. That's one of the things I'm like, boy, I can't have a girl. She's going to have me wrapped around like a loser. I'm going to be whipped. And she's going to ask for anything, and I'll give it to her because I'm in love and have a child, for Pete's sake. So that's something I'm worried about. And by the way, still worried, still concerned. With that fact. But we'll see if I end up having some one day. But you know what? It doesn't matter. Just to be blunt, that I thought it was going to matter. I thought that was going to be a thing. Like, man. But girls can throw around the football and do anything and everything a boy can. So, you know what? I'm just blessed I had a healthy baby. And so many others aren't that lucky to have healthy babies and have all kinds of issues. Our baby is beautiful and healthy, and I couldn't complain. So I love hearing about your guys' kids, too. That's amazing. Kids are the best. It is an inexplainable thing for a guy that gets paid to talk for a living. I'm a sports talk radio host for my day job, and then I do Jets writing, podcasts, everything else. I get paid to talk for a living, but it's almost speechless. There's almost nothing to say that could quite, illustrate, that could quite so eloquently put what a child means to you immediately. Like, the baby was in her belly, and I'm like, I care for the kid. But I've never seen the kid. And then when the baby comes out, you're like, but I would do anything for this human being that I was just introduced to. It's an unbelievable feeling. It's hard to explain to people. Jay Spector, hit the like button. A friendly reminder. Again, you could be listening to this in one of many ways. You could just be listening to the show, which is available, Sports War Radio. The audio version of this podcast has been a thing for a decade plus. So feel free to support in that manner, driving the car and things of that nature. I know some people don't get the pleasure of joining the YouTube channel for that. They kind of commute to work and listen to the Jet Show. That's cool. Different strokes, different folks. That's fine. But if you are watching on YouTube, that is the thing we've been growing and pumping out. We're at 2.2 thousand subscribers. And back in March, we had less than 1,000. So the surge, the unbelievable support is thanks to each and every one of you. We just did an audio podcast for 8-9 years. And then someone said, hey, can you do it on video? We'd love to see your crazy reactions and voices and things of that nature. And forever I went, I'm too old. I can't do all the YouTube stuff and all that jazz. And it's reinvigorated me in a way that I could have never imagined. So YouTube's been terrific. So it makes a huge difference. If you're watching right now, like the video. Hit subscribe if you like Jets content. We do interviews, live streams, and cool pre-recorded content. We've got a huge schedule set up coming up for the fall as well. And if you have the change in your pocket, feel free to do a super chat live on YouTube. It sends me a tip. Your comment has a special color around it when we're doing these live shows. and it helps support it, helps make this channel possible, helps me spend more time on this and giving more interviews and even more, because I want to keep giving more to this thing, and you guys make it possible. So if you have the means, feel free. And even if you don't, the one free thing you can do is like the video, hit subscribe. That's free to do. Tell a Jets fan friend or Jets friend fan. I don't know. But either way, tell somebody and send them over. I appreciate it. John Galazzi. So I just found you a few weeks ago. I love the podcast. Becton is healthy. This Jets offensive line is top 10 in the NFL. Well, John, thanks for finding me, man. Appreciate it. The internet, sports technology, baby. So thank you. And thanks for hopping on the train, baby. Toot, toot. Yeah, I agree. Becton healthy. Think about that line for a second. You got Laken Tomlinson, Elijah Tucker. That guard combination is to drool for. I think Conor McGovern is just a solid guy. Is he superstar? Absolutely not. Is he a trash bag full of rotten mangoes? Not quite. But he's okay. And if he's the worst thing on your offensive line, you're doing pretty good. Mekhi Becton, Hall of Fame traits, superstar size, athleticism, physical strength, but he's got to be healthy. And George Fant, the same thing. He's got to stay healthy. I don't think he's actually, to be blunt, I don't think George Fant has ever started a full season. Neither has Mekhi Becton, for that matter. So they got to stay healthy. But if they could stay healthy, hell yeah. And that could carve out everything. That could pave the running game for Breece Hall. That could protect Zach Wilson and throw it all over the ball yard. So, John, you hit the nail on the head there. Sean Maxter, great show. Keep up the good work. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much. Let's see. John Galazzi, I have an opening in my fantasy football league. Would love to have you. Yeah, well, let me know, John. Hit me up on one of the social medias. You see it scrolling on the ticker, @BoyGreen25, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So feel free to reach out to me on the side. We'll see if that can happen. I do love fantasy football, so it's hard to be tempted by the forbidden fruit and not bite into it. And in terms of openings in our leagues, it is for people that are local at this point. Like you can, so I'll explain real quick our fantasy football lineup for people who care. And I got to give a shout out to Matthew Berry, by the way, just left ESPN. I got his book. I'm staring at it. It's over on my bookshelf, Fantasy Life by Matthew Berry. And it really inspired me to come up with this concept. So we have 3 fantasy football leagues through my radio show. They're 12 teams apiece. It's called the Champs League, the Chumps League, and the Triple C. Now, each year, the 3 bottom losers from each league drop into the other levels. So if you're in the Champs League, you finish bottom 3, you get kicked down to another league. You finish bottom 3 in that league, you get kicked down to another league. If you finish bottom 3 there, we used to kick you out of the league, but I changed it because I'm a nice guy. And by virtue, the top 3 and the bottom 2 leagues move up. So if you're top 3 in the Triple C, you move up to the Chumps. You're top 3 in the Chumps, you move up to the Champs. And the Champs League draft is a live draft. The other 2 are online drafts. So technically speaking, any one of you fans that are fans of the show or fantasy football could join one of those leagues, but attendance is mandatory in the Champs League to be at the live draft. So unless you guys are willing to fly up to Syracuse, which, by the way, we've had someone do that before, so it's not completely obtuse. But if you would be willing to do that for the live draft, then, and if you're willing to do that, we will add you to the list. We are considering making a 4th league. So if you are that crazy about fantasy football and that is something that would interest you, you can reach out to me on one of the other social media portals privately, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Twitter's the easiest place, but I'm cool with whatever site you use. Feel free to reach out to me privately and we can make that happen. So I see John said that if I have an opening in my league, I'd be interested. So yes. So guys, if you're interested in that crazy format, I could explain more details off air, but let me know. I love fantasy football. Dave Etcheberry, Breece mode. I think he's going to be such a stud. Like, I thought Michael Carter's going to be good, and he was good. But I think Breece Hall could be, like, among the best running backs in the NFL. Now, how quickly that happens, I don't know. But, yeah, I will say this. Hopefully I'm in none of the same fantasy football leagues. I'm drafted Breece Hall. Yes, sir. I think he's going to be Offensive Rookie of the Year. I don't care, relatively speaking, where I draft him, but I'm getting Breece Hall as much as possible. Let's see. Hennessy, nothing beats a live draft. It's terrific, Hennessy, man. Hennessy Heisman. Love that name, by the way. Phenomenal. And I love the YouTube picture. Very nice. Raw Power. My fantasy team's name was Bachelors 3. That's funny. That's a good one. I like that one. And that's the big thing, Hennessy. And I'll say this. It's hard to get everyone together. For our Champs League, which I told you is 12 people, obviously including myself, I have to get everyone to a live draft. We confirm our team members like after the fantasy playoffs, because again, all the movement in the leagues. So we confirm the 12, and then months out from the draft, I'll keep doing these checkpoints like, hey, are you guys still in for the live fantasy draft? Are you in? Are you in? Are you in? So I do it 2 months out, 1 month out. And basically, if someone drops out, I have backup people ready to supplant them because, again, attendance is mandatory for a league. You want everyone there. What are you going to do? Quote unquote auto draft for the guy who's missing? Like, that'd be lame. So I check in with everybody, and every once in a while we have a family emergency, which God bless, knock on wood. Hopefully that doesn't happen to any of you. But anything like that happens, or anything, traffic, that's a weird one. But if something happened of seriousness, I have people waiting in line to jump ahead and fill in your spot and replace you. So it is hard. And that's the part of it, which, again, online, if someone doesn't show up, they just auto draft, which kind of sucks, but at least it's covered in some sense. But that's the key. But that's what I do. I'm a freak, and I make sure everybody is right on top of their crap. So again, that's always big for me too. But good fantasy football talk. Did not see that coming up on the show. Love it. Braden, sorry I'm late listening at work. No problem, Braden. Again, this is later than normal. We normally record in the early afternoon, but it's been a fun show. Old David Etcheberry here. Old Spanish proverb: blessed is the man whose first child is a girl. Something about a girl that softens your heart. That's sweet. I've never heard of that, and I should know my Spanish proverbs as a Puerto Rican, but nonetheless, I love that. That's very sweet. Maybe, and then the boy comes in, and then I'll be all ready for whatever life brings you. They do soften the heart for sure. Braden coming in there. Jay Spector on YouTube. Girls will always take care of their fathers. Boys will be their wife's family. Oh, thank God. Then I have someone to take care of me when I'm all old and I'm a curmudgeon. Nice, Jay. Okay, the benefits, baby. I love it. Let's see. Hennessy Heisman. Where do you do talk radio? I do talk radio in Syracuse, New York, baby. I'm on the Man Child Show with Boy Green. I am Boy Green. Wink. The show is 10 to 12 Monday through Friday. We do local stuff. So Syracuse football, Syracuse basketball, the national. So the 3 NFL teams, Giants, Jets, Bills. Yeah. And then whatever happens to pop, like if some crazy Deshaun Watson or whatever random, I'm just spitballing, whatever random. We do fantasy football talk every week, NFL talk every week. So feel free, you guys don't have to be local to listen, but locally on the Score 1260. Score1260.com or for free on the Score 1260 app. More info on my Twitter account. It's in my bio at the Manchild Show, at Manchild_show on Twitter. So feel free. I do talk radio. That's where I got my job. I started as an intern for Bud and the Manchild, the radio show, and then the show got bought out by ESPN. They took me with them, so I went to ESPN, which was cool to do that for a couple years, and then we came back to the Score 1260, and I went from intern, free intern, just scraping the bottom of the barrel, to producer, to co-host, and the rest has been history. So it was a nice natural progression there that I really enjoyed. So sports talk radio, that is for sure. John Galazzi here. Thank you so much for reading my comment. Truly appreciate it. Means a lot. Love it. Thanks again. Nothing but luck going forward, my friend. Appreciate it, John. And thank you so much for being a part of the show. Without you, I'm not possible. I'm not here. We're both not here right now. So without you, it's not possible. So thank you so much. I love reading all your guys' comments. Thanks for sending them in. Thanks for spending time out of your Wednesday night to Channel O Jets. I love it, baby. And again, training camp is here. Football is back, baby. So we'll be in full bore. Again, my vacation is a little mistimed. I'm going to be on a plane Wednesday night, and then I'm back not that Saturday, the following Saturday. So I'm gone for 7, 8, 9, 10-ish days, something like that. Then I'm back in full flower in my office for preseason and all that. The schedule just kind of worked out that way. That's when my parents were available to see the baby. So not that you guys need all that extra intel, but so I will be out. I'm going to have my computer on me, so we're going to try to still do the Jet Zone. If something went wrong, I'd only miss one Jet Zone show, or actually 2 rather, with the plane travel, I guess. But we're going to try to do all of it. We're going to try to not miss anything. So I'll keep you guys abreast with anything and all of that. But thank you, John. Let's get a couple more in here before we sign off. Barney Miller, I'm late. So did the Jets make a splash move? Yeah. Did you see him pick up? I was about to say Roger Craig. That's funny. Craig James, the Philadelphia Eagles corner and special teamer. That is what Mike K said. He joined my show, so you can check out the Mike K interview. Again, I wasn't going to post that till next week, but the breaking news happened with the Craig signing, so I said, screw it, we'll just drop it. Then we'll do the live stream too. Double video, double content for all you crazy fans out there. So feel free to check that out. So that was the splash move. Mike actually said that on the show, but he was kind of kidding. But I was about to say Mike K. Craig Okay, Craig James. He will be your fourth or fifth corner battle, somewhere in that ballpark, and special teams demon, quote unquote. So he will be there. So that's the splash move in heavy quotations for those listening on the podcast, just audio that can't see me. But the splash move that was being referenced was Jesse Bates. So you guys can listen to the first half of that and also check it out on Heavy on Jets. I am a New York Jets digital reporter covering all things Jets from that side of the fence. So you guys can read my article. But Jesse Bates possibly happening with Jeremy Fowler reporting, suggesting that that could be possible. Let's keep going here. Go through a couple more. Raw Power for the youngsters. Bachelors 3 was the club that almost got Namath kicked out of the NFL. Oh, I was unaware of that. I thought that was part of just like the Bachelors Club, like the American Pie scene. But okay. I love that. That's Joe Namath, man. He's a dog. I like the old school reference. Barney Mill on YouTube. Do we need Jesse Bates? I'd rather have linebacking help. What happened to Quan? Quan, I still think is going to happen. That's my opinion. I think Quan is going to sign with the Jets. We will see if and when that happens. I'd be willing to bet dollars. I believe he signs with the Jets and joins the squad for training camp. We will see if that indeed happens. Do we need Jesse Bates? No, I think it'd be a luxury, bluntly. I'd love offensive tackle help more than anything else, personally, but different strokes, different folks. So what happened to Quan? Quan is still a free agent right now, and I think he's just holding out for more money. Old David Etcheberry, I can never have a Jets channel. Wife won't let me grow a beard. It's a key. Green Bean, me. Jake Asman has a little bit of peach fuzz. I don't think Matt O'Leary is capable of growing beard hair. At least I don't remember him. I'm pretty sure he's a pretty clean guy. I may have butchered that. I haven't looked at Matt O'Leary's face lately. Yeah, but beards seem to be a must, apparently. It is a prerequisite, apparently, that I was not aware of. Barney Miller, does Craig mean Hardy's going to be cut? Great that you mentioned that, Barney. That's a great way to wrap up the show. That's my take. After hearing I'll be honest, Craig, I knew little about. I saw he was getting cut from the Eagles, and naturally, any Eagles-Jets connections to me, I immediately say, like, could that happen? There was no direct overlap with Joe Douglas, but I always think that. So I looked up general information about Craig, but I'm going to be honest, I didn't know a lot about him. And randomly, as we're recording the Mike Kay interview, he's the lead NFL reporter for Pro Football Network. We were recording an interview before this podcast started, and that interview was supposed to post next week. But in the middle of the interview, he says, hey, did you see the breaking news, basically? I'm like, what? And he says, the Jets just signed Craig. And for those who don't know, Mike Kay, before becoming a national reporter, covered the Eagles when Craig was on the team. So I said, oh, perfect. Mike, give us the scoop. Who the hell is this kid? And he basically described a much younger version of Hardy. He described a guy that is a special teams demon, a former special teams captain. He's going to be like your fourth or fifth corner, which is eerily similar to Hardy. And I believe, I haven't seen the contract numbers, but he makes a lot less money than Hardy. So it could mean Hardy's going to be cut. That's a new training camp battle to now watch out for during training camp. So it very well could mean that, Barney. And I'm going to write a piece about that for Heavy on Jets on Thursday, July 24th to figure that out. Quickly, let's run through the last couple things here. Frankie has beard. That's another one. Yeah, I'm an idiot. I forgot about that. And Richie does not. Richie's too young, I think. I do not think he has one. And wow, Michael Namath hung with Sinatra and Mob Boss at Bachelors 3. By the way, random nugget. Guys, you better not spoil this for me. I'm watching Sopranos for the first time. Now, that may be insulting that I've waited this long to ever see it, but I'm watching right now. Man, it's good, which is what people said anyway. So not really a hot take, but randomly, I'm watching Sopranos right now for the first time ever. Really cool. Barney Miller, I have a short beard. Will that pass the Jets channel test? Yeah, I could see it in your YouTube picture. I think that's long enough. I may need to pull out a ruler to make quite sure that it passed the test, but I believe so. More the merrier, as far as I'm concerned. We have great Jets content creators out there. More the merrier. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us here for another episode of the Jet Zone. Football is back. Rookies reported this week. Veterans report next week. Keep supporting the channel. Like the video. Hit subscribe down below for more great content. We just had Mike Kay on the show tonight, so you can check that out in a separate video. We had Connor Rogers on last week and more great guests joining us throughout the season, and a great plan where basically a new video will be posted every single day of the NFL season. Can I keep up that crazy pace? Only God knows, but we will find out. We have a great plan for this season. I hope each and every one of you at home enjoys it. Like I said, like the video, subscribe, or even if you listen just on the podcast version, give us a review. Tell us what you think of the show, and if there's anything else you'd like to see incorporated. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody, and we will see you next time right here on the Jet Zone.